Siftpop podcast is recorded in front of a live internet audience. Live from a bunker in the heart of the Ozarks, we prepared for this show by destroying our shins with a wooden rod. It's Siftpop.
And you say you don't have a radio voice.
I don't. That's all fake.
It came out of your mouth.
Well, I know, but it's fake. It's not like I use it the whole time. Welcome to Siftpop, streaming live on Mixlr every Friday or available to download later in your podcast feed, unless, of course, you're a patron.
Patrons get perks.
Patrons get those perks. I'm Aaron Dicer from YourMovieFriend.com, and as always, I'm joined by Andrew Ormsby from Flick Freaks.
Ahoy!
Every week, we'll be joined by a pop culture guru to chat about movies, television, and whatever else from the pop culture universe is on our minds. And today's guru, from Geek.0, it's Chris!
Hello, everybody.
General Rabble! Woo!
General Rabble.
General Rabble.
I thought for a second that was a character from one of the new Star Wars movies or something.
That's a trap.
General Rabble.
General Rabble.
Chris, welcome, man.
Thank you.
Good to have you here.
Me.
This is the first time you've been on the show solo. You were on with Sean.
Yes.
You and Sean are like partners in the Geek.0 universe.
Yeah, he's my PIC.
So you do like podcasts together and all that kind of stuff. But tell us a little bit about yourself, just you. Like, who are you?
Just me.
Yeah. Like, where did your pop culture universe start to develop?
Just growing up as a kid, playing video games, watching movies, hanging out with my friends, Ghostbusters marathons, and 1 and 2, and usually just one over and over and over.
That was the Ghostbusters marathon.
I get it.
was just watching Ghostbusters over and over and over again. We had Monty Python and the Holy Grail marathons
Monty
at my
Python
house.
and the Holy Grail, and just developed from there, and grown into that. Just always loved it. Comic books and everything.
So are you a comic book guy? Like you collected them or still collect them?
I used to collect them.
Okay.
Paying for a child is more pressing than filling long boxes.
Dude, get your
I
priorities.
guess you gotta get your priorities together, man. It
that's
sounds
just
like you're doing
weird.
it wrong.
I know.
And so would you say comic books, movies?
Comic books, movies, TV are probably my big things.
Okay.
Were you a DC guy or a Marvel guy?
Ooh, that's a great question.
DC.
You are now my best friend.
See, I don't get that.
Why?
Help me understand. Like, why is that a big deal? Was it just like a Coke versus Pepsi kind of thing, or
Pretty much.
Coke, Pepsi, Chevy, Dodge, Marvel,
Yeah.
DC.
was there an actual difference in their tones or this kind of stuff?
I
that
think
they
there
did?
are. I think that DC is a lot darker in the fact
Yes.
that a lot of people tend to love, and I don't want to speak for everybody, obviously, but I think a lot of people tend to love DC villains more than Marvel villains. I think that there's more to a DC villain. Like there's a
More
greater
layers.
backstory. There's a lot more layers. And even I think that you'd find a lot more damaged heroes in the DC universe too.
Yep.
Batman is the go-to for the most damaged hero, but I think that there's a lot more like him out there.
So is it like the movies? Because the Marvel movies in general are a lot lighter and have more fun to them. And
the difference is the DC comics are good, and
the DC movies aren't.
DC movies aren't, unless you count the Nolan.
But I mean,
trilogy.
tone-wise though, are the tones of the movies kind of similar to how the tones of the comic books are different?
I think Snyder tried to crank up the DC.
Yeah, he tried to go
dark to 11
Frank
on that
Miller
one.
plus. Yeah.
And not every single, because Superman's not dark.
No, and that was my biggest issue with Man of Steel and Superman and BVS was that he was just so
right. Because Superman's
dour.
Superman's supposed to be like this
Beacon
paragon of hope.
American
and,
hope.
Yeah. So
What is it? Hope, truth, and the American way. Is that what it is, or what is it?
Truth, justice, and the American way.
And the American
apple pies in there somewhere, baseball, all
Kansas.
that stuff. Yep, Kansas, all of it. Yep. All right. Well, today we're going to talk about the movie The Accountant. We're going to talk about, speaking of Marvel, we're going to talk about another Marvel series that's on Netflix, Luke Cage, which came out recently. Excited to talk about those things. But first, we like to start with Do We Care? So Andrew's going to read us some pop culture headlines, and we're going to say if we care enough to talk more about them.
Do we care? Number 1. J.K. Rowling has announced that the film adaptation for Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them will be told across a 5-film series.
Good night. I hope they're good.
Yeah.
I do care.
Do you care?
But I don't care specifically that they're 5 movies. I just care, about that property and going back to the kind of the Harry Potter world and universe.
How are you like on a fan level on Harry Potter?
I love Harry Potter. I was never. I watched. So I watched like the first 4 movies before I read any of the books, and I read all the books, and then watched the rest of the movies. If that makes sense.
I'll say this: my wife is a huge Harry Potter fan. So every time it's on like ABC Family or whatever on the weekends,
you know what you're doing
on at our house. So I very much care that this is going to be a 5-part movie series because I'm going to have to go to all of them.
And that's what I mean. That's why I hope they're good, and I hope they don't do that thing that a lot of movies do when they expand. I would mention The Hobbit. I would mention Pirates of the Caribbean, where they just take too little material and try to stretch it over too much time. Yeah. And so it just feels loose and stretched out. And also the movies don't end because the stories are getting told in, the next several movies. Mm-hmm. And so it's not really a full storytelling experience. I still want a full storytelling experience, even if I know there's more sequels. Does that make sense? Yeah. I thought Harry Potter was really good about that. I thought each Harry Potter book / movie was a full storytelling experience.
Yeah.
Except for the last 2.
Yeah.
Right. Because the last book was,
it
was part 1 and part 2.
Yeah.
And I had that problem with that. But yeah, I think it'll be fine as long as the movies are fine.
Yeah.
That's my thing.
I think that, pretty much. Number 2, Nicholas Hoult has been cast as Nikola Tesla in the film The Current War. It will tell the story between Nikola Tesla and Thomas Edison on whose electrical currents were better, Tesla's alternating current or Thomas Edison's direct current.
Ooh, AC/DC.
Do you get it now? The Current Wars?
I get it. I get it.
Play on words.
I'm going to give this one a no. I don't really care about this till it comes out.
Okay.
I do care. I think Nikola Tesla was awesome.
He is my favorite. He's my favorite historical figure. So.
And I like Nicholas Hoult.
Okay. Now we get it.
Yeah. Did I not say I was biased on this one?
So do you have a Tesla car then?
God, I wish.
Yeah, I wish that I had one too.
I don't even know if there's an area in Springfield to charge an electric car.
Not the
supercharge stations that they have.
So yeah,
they're doing a good job at getting them put along expressways though. Mm-hmm. So it's becoming more and more practical to be able to have one. I would love one of those cars. They're so genius, and they have a fairly affordable one now. And by fairly affordable, I mean what, like $30,000?
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah,
a lot of people Model 3.
I think they more than made their profit on pre-orders on that car than what they needed to build them.
It was the fastest selling car in 2016 within 2 weeks.
Yeah,
wow. Yeah,
isn't that remarkable?
It is.
Just to see where technology is going, and it's all because of Nikola Tesla.
That's right. He invented the electric guitar.
Edison, man. It was a bad dude. That was a bad dude, that Edison.
Yep. Was he?
Oh, he was a horrible person.
All right, now I'm interested in this movie.
Yeah.
Was there like all sorts of nefarious goings-on?
Edison was trying to have Tesla killed.
What?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
You aren't kidding me.
No. Like, he was a really bad dude. He was... Go and read some historical books on Thomas Edison on what he tried to do to Tesla.
They didn't touch on any of that in The Prestige.
They did a little bit. Remember, Edison burnt down his factory, and Tesla had to keep moving around in Colorado to stay away from Edison's men.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah, it's all based on the fact that Edison was trying to kill Tesla.
I feel like it's become kind of a superhero story in some ways.
What, Tesla?
Like Edison is the villain, and Tesla's like the superhero, and
sounds to me like you kind of care about this.
I do now. You've talked me into it. You have absolutely talked me into it.
Good selling, Andrew.
Number 3, the Universal, Microsoft, and the Coalition are hoping the film adaptation for Gears of War will be the first critically successful video game film adaptation. The reason why I brought this up is because last night we were having an argument whether or not there has ever been a good video game.
There has never been a good video game movie. And you can talk about Mortal Kombat. Go ahead.
All right, yeah, Mortal Kombat.
Is that all you're going to say?
That's all I'm going to say, yeah.
That's all he needs to say.
That's all I need to say.
Chris, are you with him?
I like Mortal Kombat.
It's not a great movie.
Okay, growing up, that movie it's kind of like you ever see a movie when you're a kid, and it's like your favorite movie, and then you go back and you revisit it, and it's not actually good, but the child in you will not let go of the fact that it was half of what made you.
Oh, sure, absolutely. Never-Ending Story is a great example.
No, bite your tongue. That's a good movie regardless. That's a great movie regardless.
That movie, I mean, it's a great story, but it's not acted well or put together well or...
For the time, I think that Wolfgang...
maybe for the time. I don't know. But I know what you're talking about.
So there's a couple movies coming out first that potentially have what it takes to be a good video game adaptation. Assassin's Creed might pull it off. I'm
super nervous about
I'm nervous about Assassin's Creed. But the other one is Firewatch. I don't know if you ever played Firewatch.
No.
It's an indie game, and I think that's why it has the potential. It's an indie game it's one of those immersive storytelling things. So the whole point of that game is the great story behind it, and it just lends itself to being a movie.
What about Tetris? What about the Tetris movie?
They're making right now?
Yeah, that's going to be amazing, right?
Isn't that a 3-part film?
It is. It's a trilogy.
It's the Tetris trilogy.
Yeah.
I can't, my mind is blown.
Tetris 2, big block.
That's right. Oh, man. Yeah. I think Gears of War will be another video game movie. I can't imagine it's going to be great.
I don't imagine that it will be either,
I
sadly.
think that it will. I really do. But I also thought about Assassin's Creed. I can't say Assassin's Creed's not even out yet, so I can't.
Yeah, it comes out in December.
I thought Assassin's... Oh, no, I'm thinking of Prince of Persia.
Oh, yeah, that one definitely did not do too well.
No.
But
was there a Doom movie, too? I think there was a Doom movie.
Yeah, with The Rock and
if
Carl
The Rock
Urban
can't save a movie.
Yeah, how do you mess up Carl Urban and The Rock?
But I think that The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, would be a perfect gear.
I agree.
Whenever I think of like Marcus Phoenix, like just try and get Dwayne Johnson to get a real low gravelly voice.
Dwayne Johnson and Terry Crews.
There you go. That's all you need for Terry Crews is Coltrane. Oh my gosh, this movie's now officially great.
Your son is a remarkable young man. He has highly advanced cognitive skills. He has more in common with Einstein or Mozart than he does with us. I'd like to work with your son. Help him develop the skills he'll need to lead a full life.
It's not going to happen. The world is not a friendly place, and that's where he needs to learn to live.
Well, let's talk about The Accountant, guys.
Okay.
This is a movie starring Ben Affleck as a mathematical savant who is half action star and half mathlete. And what he does while, masquerading as a CPA in a small town, what he does on his off hours, so to speak. Let's start here. Did you like the movie? Did you like it, love it? Was it okay? Did you dislike it? Did you hate it? Chris?
I'm going to go with it was okay.
Andrew?
I liked it.
I am right between it was okay and liked it. I think I'm going to land on liked it.
Yeah.
I think there was enough about it to push me over the edge to go, okay, there's stuff here that's worth enjoying.
But there was enough stuff there wrong with it to keep you from saying you really liked it.
There's plenty of problems here. There's plenty of problems in this movie. Let's start with the good stuff, though. What's some of the stuff you liked?
The sound design in this movie is beyond phenomenal.
Yeah.
Especially the gun battles and stuff. That Beretta or the Barrett 50 cal.
When he fires off that Barrett, it
is
the
most amazing. I was like, oh, just please bring the gun back, because the sound design, whenever he brought that thing out, the sound design in the theater, I don't know if it was just where we were sitting or if it was just a really good quality.
Man.
Yeah,
but it was so amazing. The sound design was the number one thing I took away from this movie.
I'm glad you mentioned that. It's kind of interesting. I would not have even put my finger on that.
Really?
But now that you mention it, absolutely, it was really well done. What about you, Chris? What's some stuff you liked?
I thought Jon Bernthal was pretty good in it. I enjoyed him.
It was actually my favorite performance of his.
Yeah.
I never really liked him in The Walking Dead. I didn't really enjoy him when he was Punisher. I like that character, but I didn't necessarily like his performance.
Okay.
But here, I really enjoyed his performance.
Yeah, I liked him a lot. I thought Anna Kendrick was pretty good in it, too. She's always good in everything, though.
Yeah.
So,
I thought she was just Anna Kendrick. She didn't really stand out in any particular way. But
yeah, which is fine. Anna Kendrick being Anna Kendrick is good. I thought she was underused. I felt a lot about this movie was underused, underdeveloped. There felt like there was a lot here that could have been developed a little more.
I didn't understand her character's point all too much, because, not to get into too many spoilers, obviously right off the bat, but there was, like you said, a bunch of points in the movie where you're like, well, what about this person over here? You just introduced them, and now they're kind of, where'd they go? What was their purpose?
Yeah.
But,
and what was their motivation? There were some character motivations that were a little strange, too. They just seemed to be plot motivated instead of actually character motivated.
How did you feel about Affleck's performance?
That I would say that's one of my favorite things about the movie. So I would put that in the good category.
Yeah, he was good.
And I've heard since. So what I do is I watch a movie, I review to get all my points down, and then I go read other reviews. And a lot of the other reviews I read didn't like his performance. They thought it was, I'm trying to think of some of the words they used, but the idea that it was a little patronizing to autism and those kind of things. And I thought it rang really true. Now, I've never been close with somebody who is autistic.
Yeah.
So I don't know if maybe there is something there that just doesn't ring true to people who are more familiar with it. But for me, I thought he did a great job at balancing that type of personality with also being an action hero, which is a weird combination to have.
Yeah.
But I thought somehow he made it work. And I think that's a really tricky thing to do.
Yeah. And then the last pro I will mention is this movie is funny.
Yeah. There's
It
some
had
humor
some
in
good
it.
moments in
it
it. There were
didn't-
some good, solid chuckles from the whole crowd.
Exactly. I didn't expect a Gavin O'Connor movie to make me laugh as much as this did.
Can we talk about Gavin O'Connor? Because he also did Warrior, which is a phenomenal
one of my
movie.
favorite movies of all time.
And so, he's definitely got him in it. What's something else he did? I looked at his filmography last night.
Gavin O'Connor, well, Warrior is the main thing that he's known for.
But there was something else in his filmography, too. That I'm like, oh, he made that, too.
He did Pride and Glory is the other big one. He also did Miracle.
Miracle, that's the one.
I do like Miracle.
I love Miracle, and I was like, oh, interesting. And it shows some real flexibility in him, too, because Miracle is a straightforward, tug on your heartstrings, swell the emotion sports story, and he really does a good job with it. So I think he's a talented director, and I think you can see his touches here. One of the other things I liked, since we're on direction, is I liked some of those moments in this movie where it's like, oh, that's clever. That's a really neat way to do that. And I'll talk more about some of those in spoilers, maybe. Okay. There's one right at the beginning when we're learning about Ben Affleck, and his character does something astounding, and the way it's revealed was kind of a 1-2 punch that I really liked.
No pun intended.
Pun definitely intended.
Oh, okay.
But only if you've seen the movie. So I liked a lot of those moments.
That moment was actually in the trailer, so I knew that was coming. So,
oh, I hate that. Oh, that's just that. Oh, man. Because I can't imagine already knowing that moment. And, that's frustrating.
Yeah.
Because that was one of my favorite parts of the movie.
Yeah.
That reveal was just like, it was so powerful.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed that stuff.
I didn't, I understand like what you said earlier about the critics not liking the fact that he went a little overboard possibly in their mind with the performance. I don't think that people should look at people with autism and stuff and be like, oh, you can't make that character funny because they have a disability. I think that dehumanizes them.
I agree.
Yeah.
So that's why I think that Ben Affleck's performance was really good, because he was a man with a condition, but he was still a person.
Right.
And I thought he did a remarkable job.
Well, and he wasn't the only one, too, that was dealing with, issues in the movie and different things and still, kind of going along. So, it wasn't just him.
Yeah.
The other thing I liked about the movie is the complexity. I thought there was a real moral complexity to some of these characters. I'll just mention the father, for instance. Whereas at first you're like, what a horrible father, and then you're like, oh, actually, maybe he's a great father.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like there was enough shading there where you're like, okay, I can see how a human being would make those choices, and I disagree with some of them, and yet there's something there about it came from a place of love.
Yeah, you
know
could tell
I mean?
he was trying to do the best to deal with the situation that they've been placed in, and to make it to where Ben Affleck's, as a child wouldn't be taken advantage of by other people. And you could really see that he cared about the situation, the way he went about it,
And I love that.
But,
I love there's a humanness to that. There's a real complexity to the decisions we make.
Yeah.
And I felt like that complexity of the morality of this movie, and also really both Ben Affleck and his brother as well had that same moral complexity to them, where it's like, Affleck's straight up, mowing people down in this movie.
Yeah.
Did it ever feel like John Wick to
I
you
was
guys?
literally, I compared it to John Wick.
Yeah.
When we got
with
up,
that
that's what he
combat
said.
style.
Yeah.
Well, let's move into the negatives with this, because the Wick thing moves nicely into one of my main negatives. I feel like John Wick was a much better movie at holding that momentum than this movie was. I feel like there were too many momentum shifts in this movie.
Yeah.
Where it had those John Wick moments, but then they would go to the character moments, which we need, but it seemed to linger on those character moments just a little bit too long.
There's one in particular where it just dragged on, and Yeah, pacing in this movie was not very fluid.
Yeah.
I agree. That was one of the things when I was leaving, and I think that was part of what made it okay for me instead of liking it, was you felt every bit of the 2+ hours that you were in the theater for the movie.
Well, here's the thing. It actually was less than 2 hours long, wasn't it?
Was it less than 2 hours long?
Is it a 2-hour movie?
It's time to go.
It felt longer than it was. I know
did
that.
feel long. There definitely was a lack of brevity.
I may be thinking about the girl on the train.
Runtime is 2 hours and 8 minutes.
Okay, there you go.
So it was right on about 2 hours. And yeah, I mean, you felt, especially like you said, at some of those character moments, it just kept going and trying to build on. And I understand that they were trying to build a backdrop to the character to give you more insight into who he is or who she is or who they are and what they're doing. But man, at a certain point, instead of taking 5 sentences to say something, take one.
Yeah, exactly. And I think you can build our empathy for a character quicker, and you don't have to take all that time to live in those character moments. So, and I thought there were a few of those. Anything else you want? Are we ready for one more thing, maybe?
I have one more negative.
Okay, go for it.
Predictability. Very predictable movie.
There's one thing we'll mention in spoilers, and I'm pretty sure this is a heavy part of what you're talking about. There's one thing in this movie that is ultra predictable.
Yep.
Right from the beginning.
Oh yeah.
Two things that are ultra predictable.
Okay. I'm thinking of one in particular.
Okay. Yeah.
And I don't know that bothers me that much though, because I don't feel like the movie played it like it wasn't supposed to be predictable. Like, it didn't play it as like a huge reveal.
And I thought about that last night too, because one of the complaints we had about Girl on the Train, which is another movie we saw, for those of you who didn't listen to our pre-show, we talked about Girl on the Train.
Which, by the way, patrons, if you support, you have access to that review and that pre-show in your podcast feed.
Patrons get those perks.
Yeah, they do.
But so we talked about how in that movie the predictability was one of the big negatives, and I didn't feel in this movie that the predictability was as bad.
Right.
But I don't think that it was one of those things, we're trying to keep it a secret. But at the same time, I'm like, man, they could have made it a big reveal, and I think that they kind of missed out on that opportunity.
See, I don't know that they could have. I just think it was too obvious.
I agree.
I don't know that there's
difficult.
anything that they could have done to make that like a big twist or something. And I think maybe if you're not paying attention, maybe it still reads as a big twist. But I mean, if you pay attention at all, you have to know that's where it's going. Yeah. So, and it felt like they just, what it did? It kind of let us be in Ben Affleck's head a little bit on that, because for him it wasn't obvious. He didn't know what was going on. And so, it kind of gave us a little information that he didn't have, not by not making it a big thing, I think. Yeah. So, but I agree, it was predictable. I just don't know that hurt the movie as much for me.
Okay.
In this one. Yeah. I'll start with my one more thing, if we want to kind of go around and finish up with the accountant. My one more thing, I think I already kind of talked about it, but it's the motivations. I was disappointed by the character motivations in this. There were some things that happened in hindsight, like, when they lead to a place. I'm going to mention a J.K. Simmons character.
Yes.
What he does in this movie, in hindsight, makes no sense. Like, his motivations for the way that he played out that scenario, in my mind, don't make a lot of sense to me. I don't understand his character and why he did what he did in that way. And there were a few moments like that, both plot-wise and character-wise, that kind of took me out of the movie just a little bit.
Okay. My one last thing is also about J.K. Simmons. He had one of the most emotional scenes in the entire movie that definitely stuck out for me.
And it was great.
And it was probably my favorite scene in the entire movie.
Yeah.
So I love him, what he's done lately, and as far as acting. I don't know where this guy's been and why he hasn't been doing this forever, but man, he is really coming into it.
Listen, I knew J.K. Simmons was special from Spider-Man.
He was amazing.
Incredible in that movie.
Yeah, I'm excited to see Commissioner Gordon and Batfleck back together in the Batman and all that.
Yeah, Batfleck and Commissioner Gordon were both in this movie.
Yep.
I didn't think about this, but the J.K. Simmons reveal was actually done pretty well. Like, I didn't necessarily see that coming in the way that it happened.
Oh, I knew that one.
Did you?
That's why I said predictable. I knew every single secret they tried to keep in this.
You're just too good.
Yeah.
Because I didn't catch on to the JK one.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Oh, interesting.
Okay. Do you have one more thing, Chris?
Maybe I'm nuts here, but it felt like it's odd that it was rated R. I mean, I know there were some headshots and stuff and some blood, but there wasn't really any sex in it. No. I didn't notice any excessive cursing or anything.
There was a lot of cursing in it.
Was there?
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just desensitized.
Not on Affleck's part, obviously, but everybody around
Everyone around him was swearing a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think,
especially Jon Bernthal's character.
But I will
Okay,
say
yeah,
this:
that's a good point.
I follow you on this. This could have very easily been a PG-13
Like a hard
movie. They would,
PG-13.
yeah, they wouldn't have had to do a lot to get a PG-13 rating on this.
Yeah.
They would have just had to rewrite the cursing and back off some of the headshot, violence. But even those weren't graphic, really.
Right. Yeah.
you
It's
know?
not like there was blood spatter all over the walls and stuff. It didn't look like an episode of Dexter when he was done.
Yeah.
So overall, what kind of grade or rating would you give it, do you think?
Somewhere between a C+ and a B-.
Yeah, I went with a B-.
I'm kind of in this C+ area.
Yeah. So we all kind of,
Yeah.
there are obviously big flaws with it, but I think if you go see it and, I think you'll have it. I think there are moments where you'll have a good time in it. Some of that action stuff is really
I don't
glorious.
think anybody would hate it if they went and saw it.
No, I
Unless
think
you're just like blood averse.
Yeah, I think that this is a movie that has 2 or 3 big problems, but no minor problems. I think that there's a lot good with this movie, 2 or 3 really big problems that keep it from being great, but nothing like a little minor is wrong with it.
It's kind of like the Samsung Galaxy Note 7.
It'll blow up in your face?
Yeah. There's lots of big problems, but no tiny little ones. Let's move on to the next review, which is of Marvel's Luke Cage, out recently. Netflix, of course, doing the Marvel shows we've seen so far. Daredevil, seasons 1 and 2.
Yep.
Jessica Jones, and Luke Cage, right? That's it so far?
That's it.
So, Luke Cage, you guys may need to help me out in this. Where does it fall in the timeline? Are we progressing here? Is this after Jessica Jones?
Yeah, it's after the events
Daredevil
of Jessica
season
Jones.
2? Is it after Daredevil season 2 as well? Okay. All right, so I'm just trying to figure out...
Definitely after Jessica Jones.
Well, because he's in Jessica Jones.
Yeah.
Quite a bit of it, actually.
And they talk
And
about
they
what
address-
happened in Jessica Jones to him and stuff.
Okay, so maybe that's the first question as we get into this, is how far are you in Luke Cage? Because with a Marvel, or with a Netflix show, obviously they drop it all at once, 13 episodes. Andrew?
I just finished episode 9.
Okay.
I am done and have started to watch it again.
Okay, so I think we get a little sneak peek of how Chris felt about Luke Cage. I just finished episode 5, so I'm the baby amongst you. So please don't spoil me past episode 5. Actually, let's try not to spoil too much at all.
Yeah, episode 7 and 8.
But I am.
Oh yeah,
That's where.
Really?
Oh yeah.
there is a tonal shift to the show.
It's crazy.
Like
how much it
really?
changed.
the whole
Yeah.
time you think the show's going one way, and then after episode 7 and 8, you're like, okay, this show just pulled a Mr. Robot on me.
Yeah.
I am so glad to hear that because I was going to be kind of down on this show. After 5 episodes, it just hasn't grabbed me yet. I like the character, I like the performances, but the whole first 5 episodes, I'm going, I'm just not into it. I'm just not. It's not grabbing me like Jessica Jones did.
Yeah. Once you hit that midpoint, it just goes balls
berserk
to the wall crazy.
Yeah, it does.
It's nuts.
Well, it has for me so far anyway, but I do agree with what Aaron said, and I guess I should say I really am liking the show a lot.
Okay.
But beginning, this show was really slow, and there was just drug on, but after episode 7 and 8, the show definitely picks up.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I can't imagine what happens.
And I wish that's actually my only complaint with the show is that it could be a 10 tight episodes.
Yeah.
Instead of 13.
I'm hearing this a lot.
Kind of
I am hearing
out.
this a lot that 13 may be the wrong number.
Yeah.
For a Netflix season.
Yeah.
I think of like what was Stranger Things?
10.
Was
10.
it 8? I thought it was 8. Was it 10?
No, you know what? You're right. It is 8 episodes.
I think it was 8 episodes. That felt perfect to me.
Yeah.
And I just wonder if that's if the magic number is somewhere in that 8, 9, 10 realm, for a season that drops all at once. It just feels like 13 is a bit much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm hearing that a lot. So I liked the only thing I've really enjoyed is the character so far, and I enjoyed the origin story episode where it really talked about how he became who he is. I thought that was a good episode. It was done well. It was kind of mirrored with events that were happening in the in the current as it looked back on how he became who he was. I thought that was clever and interesting. So it does some interesting things. It just hasn't grabbed me yet. Through episode 5.
Yeah. My big takeaway from the show right now is the soundtrack.
Oh, the soundtrack
It is
is good.
so
Yeah.
amazing. It's
If
Method
nothing
Man,
else.
Method Man original music along with classic soul and R&B music.
Yeah,
from,
I went and got the sound. I went and put the soundtrack on my Spotify.
And there's also a real old school blaxploitation film feel to a lot of the music,
like a Spike Lee sort of thing.
Yeah,
that's what when I was talking to Sean, it's like it feels like Marvel's Luke Cage, a Spike Lee joint.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
It really does, and I love that authenticity to that culture, that experience. It's I think it's really cool. It's definitely something that puts you in a place that you wouldn't exist in otherwise. For me, that I wouldn't exist in otherwise. And I think it's really valuable.
This may sound like a dumb question, and I apologize in advance. Is Hell's Kitchen a real place in New York?
Yeah, but it's only like 2 or 3 blocks long.
Okay, because this takes place in Harlem, which we all know actually is a real place.
Yeah.
So I didn't know if Hell's Kitchen was an actual real place as well.
Yeah, these shows they take place in our universe.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is the other thing I did like, even as I'm kind of struggling to get through those first 5 episodes and be attached to it. Mm-hmm. I cannot and will not ever stop talking about how much I love the interconnectivity of the Marvel Universe.
Oh, absolutely.
The fact that the TV shows are also connected to the movie universe is just brilliant.
Take note, DC.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah.
Seriously, when they announced that whatever. With the Justice League, that the Flash was going to be a different guy than it was on TV or whatever.
Not Grant Gustin.
I thought that was a huge mistake.
Because Grant Gustin is so good.
He's great. Yep. He's fine. Why do you have to cast somebody else? And I didn't understand that.
It's really disappointing. So, we didn't go around and say how we feel. So you love it.
Oh, I love it.
I really like it. And right now,
I'm
okay on
it's
it.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah, but it sounds like I'm about to turn a corner. So
I sure hope so.
So for you, Chris, where does it rank for you right now with season 1 or 2 of Daredevil or Jessica Jones?
It's a great question.
It's my 5th favorite thing of all of the things Marvel has done.
Wow.
Yeah. I want to hear that
list.
Movies
included.
Yeah, I want to hear that list.
Yeah.
So I go.
Love our list here.
5-1. Luke Cage 5. Iron Man 4. I lumped Daredevil together in both seasons because I'm too big of a list to split them apart. At 3.
That's fine.
2 is Avengers. 1 is Winter Soldier.
Really?
Okay.
That's my top 5.
I don't think I could put any of the Netflix series above Civil War.
No, I couldn't either.
And,
it would be hard for me to put any of the Netflix series above any of the movies, actually.
Well, I could easily do that because like Iron Man 2 and 3 are terrible. And
they aren't terrible.
Oh, they're bad.
Thor 2 is not good.
No, it was okay.
Man, I must be a Marvel movie apologist because I like all those movies.
Oh, the third Iron Man movie especially was really
Iron Man
bad.
3 is rough. No.
Really
I gave Iron
bad.
Man 3 a pretty rough review. But Iron Man 2 is not that bad.
2's okay. But I think it was just coming off the heels of Iron Man 1, which was a game changer.
I will never forget the experience I had going to see the first Avengers movie for the first time. I have never had that experience in a movie theater until that
shot
moment.
When they're all there in New York and it's spinning around.
Adrenaline
right
of
there.
that. Yeah. I will always remember that. And if I go back and look at that movie and maybe it's not as good as I remember it, that's fine because I will always have that experience where it's like, this is amazing.
So I don't think that we're ever going to get to experience that again. I think that's a once-in-a-lifetime feeling.
Yeah, no, I think so. Yeah, it's like something changes in that moment.
Yeah, because it changed the way movies are made.
Right.
To cinematic universes, because that was never a thing before.
Right.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and now it seems like in every movie, all the villains come out of the sky and attack straight downwards. So that seems to be a pretty common.
But I started all that just to say, I do love the fact that people in this universe are talking about the incident. They're talking about guys with silver hammers and big green monsters. And, I just love that. It's so cool.
There's a kid selling bootleg Blu-ray copies of the incident on street corner.
Yeah.
Love stuff like that.
So my favorite thing about Luke Cage so far is the fact, besides the soundtrack, is you would believe it was not a superhero movie. It doesn't feel like a superhero at all. It just feels like a inner city struggle between good and evil.
Yeah, absolutely.
And just the simple fact that he's a superhero is like kind of the icing on the cake to get a younger audience to, which I don't even know if this is appropriate for younger audiences with some of the tonal stuff that they talk about.
It's definitely a hard PG-13.
Yeah.
If you were to rate it to
but
movies.
I don't think it's as dark as Jessica Jones.
Netflix Marvel stuff has been as well.
Is as well, yeah.
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 And that's interesting because Netflix is getting a lot darker than the movies do. And normally that's the other way around. I think that the movies are normally darker in any other genre than what the TV can do.
But not in Marvel's case.
Not in Marvel.
I think Marvel's television, specifically Netflix television, because we're not talking about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or those kind of things, which I still enjoy watching. Again, mainly for the interconnectivity stuff that happens with the movies, I think is really fun. But yeah, the Netflix stuff is a lot darker, it seems, than even the movies are.
And I love that. I love that it, because to me, I feel like the Netflix Marvel shows feel more like a DC comic than the DC movies do. Right?
Oh, interesting. Yeah,
that's my feel to it. And I love them. I love the Netflix shows.
Yeah, I really enjoyed Jessica Jones. Part of that is I'm a huge David Tennant fan, and I thought he was so phenomenal in that. So I really love Jessica Jones. I thought the Daredevil seasons were great. I didn't love them, but I thought they were great. I'm excited to see what's next. So wait, we got Iron Fist.
Iron Fist comes out next.
And then the Defenders.
And then the Defenders, which again, amazing, right? It's like the Avengers, but
for the street level Avengers.
But for the Netflix shows.
Yeah.
I just, that's so wonderful.
Yeah.
Was Alfre Woodard in Luke Cage?
Yes.
And is that the same character she's played in the movie?
No.
Okay.
It's not the same character.
I wondered if there was a tie-in there.
And I'll say this, by the time it's all said and done, I felt like Alfre Woodard was my favorite performance of the entire season.
So, do you want to talk about favorite performances so far? For me, it's Mahershala Ali, the guy who plays Cottonmouth.
He's awesome. He's always
he's
awesome.
incredible.
Love him in House of Cards.
He's so good in House of Cards, yeah.
I like Shades, too.
Yeah.
I think that guy's fun to watch, too.
Theo Russell.
Theo Rossi.
From, I remember seeing him originally in Sons of Anarchy.
Yep, as Juice. Yep.
Yeah, just Juice.
They're great performances all around here.
And Mike Coulter is Luke Cage. I don't think they could have cast anybody else besides him.
I would have liked to have seen him be a little mouthier, a little more like grown-up version of Spider-Man.
Oh, that would have been interesting.
Because you see that a little bit more in the comics. He's more of he's kind of got a come at me bro attitude in the comics.
Well, I'm starting to see that where I'm at in the season. He's starting to develop a little bit of that. I didn't see a lot of that in Jessica Jones in his character at all.
I see him more as a guy walking around on eggshells around people.
Yeah, because he's we can't do spoilers, so he has to kind of do that.
Yeah,
to handle his business.
Exactly.
Yeah. All I know, here's what I know. This is my one. Do we have one last things?
I'm good. So I
You're
already
good.
gave
Everything you needed to say.
Good.
Everybody good. All right. Here's my one last thing. I'm pretty much the real life Luke Cage.
Okay.
Because I never use shaving cream when I shave, and apparently that is the sign of being a really tough man.
Yep.
So
then I am a weak lady.
Yeah. He actually just takes really sharp tree bark and he just scrapes it across his face until the hair falls off.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. That's my routine every morning. Well, thanks again so much for joining us on the show today. If you don't know, Siftpop is part of a podcast network. And if you go to patreon.com/shoethedough, you can actually be a patron of that podcast network. Now, there's some cool benefits that go along with that, and it's really simple and easy, like $1 a month, $3 a month, $5 a month, and there's some fun perks that go along with it. One of my favorites that's brand new is the dedicated RSS feed. So if you support the podcast network, you get your own podcast feed. It goes in whatever podcast player you use that has every single thing the network puts out. So it has all the episodes of this show, all the episodes of Shoe the Dough, which is the other show on the network, and all the bonus stuff that only patrons get to hear and see. So all of that comes in one podcast feed, so you never have to go anywhere to get it. It comes straight to your device. So kind of exciting stuff. If you want to take a look at it, again, it's Patreon, patreon.com/shoethedough, SHOETHEDOE, and you can sign up there, and thanks ahead of time for your support. It's why we're able to do shows like this, because you guys are so generous with your dollars. So thank you for doing that.
It really goes a long way.
Let's move on to the Best Ever Challenge. This is where we name our best movies ever in a particular category. Feel free to play along if you're listening live in the chat. Let us know your favorites in the category, or you can always contact us as well, and we'll give you ways to do that towards the end of the show. Feel free to leave comments at iTunes, wherever you listen to the podcast. All right, here we go. Best Ever Challenge for this week, the best ever Ben Affleck movies. We will go number 3 to number 1. We'll go around the horn one at a time. Chris, we're going to start with you if you're ready.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Your number 3 best Ben Affleck movie of all time.
And I'm going to have to preface this by saying I thought this was going to be a lot easier than it was. I as I was going through the list, I found myself being a bit of a almost a Ben Affleck apologist. I was one of the few people that was very excited for him to be cast as Bruce Wayne, Batman.
And let's be clear,
it's tough to decide because I have like 6 movies and 4 of them are about on the same level.
So here, let me clarify this with the best ever challenge, because sometimes it's easy to mistake this. So when we say best Ben Affleck movie, we're not saying best Ben Affleck performance.
Right.
What we're saying is best movie that Ben Affleck has been in. So there is a difference, because like I might include Batman v Superman as one of his better performances, but I wouldn't include it as one of his best movies. Yeah. So
I don't know.
That's
so
you didn't do enough research if you think Batman vs Superman is one of his best movies.
So my number 3 is going to be Dogma.
Okay.
Nice.
Go back old school Kevin Smith style.
Yeah, old Jay and Silent Bob.
Yeah, I enjoy that whole movie. I like him being the bad guy in it. The angel that just wants to get home.
Damon's in that with him too, right?
Yeah, they're both angels.
Bartleby and Loki. They're angels, and the whole world be darned. We want to get back to heaven. Yeah, because we're tired of being on Earth for millennia.
I actually think Dogma is underrated. I think it's kind of brilliant in the way it deals with religion and morality and some of those different issues. Yep. Of course, it's coarse. It's Kevin Smith, but it's really got some interesting thoughts in it. So I can see that choice. Andrew, what's your number 3?
Argo.
Argo is number 3.
Argo is number 3.
That was my number 2.
Yeah.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah, let's go ahead and talk. It's my number 2 as well. Yeah. So let's go ahead and talk about it a little bit.
Okay, so I think this is the second Oscar that he won, and he directed the movie as well. So just tonally, this movie has you on the edge of your seat the entire time, because I made it a point not to look up to see how historically what happened to these people.
Right,
because I wanted to know in the movie. So, like, I went into this, like, on the, oh, man, are they going to get on that plane? Are they going to get on that plane?
Yeah, in the same spot.
So, yeah, man, he killed it in that directing.
He's such a great director.
Yeah.
He really is. He totally gets how to tell a story, and that movie is pure proof of that, because the momentum never lets up in that movie. Yeah. And you're getting to know all these different people and everything that's going on. There's humor, there's action, there's... it just drives right to the end, and I really enjoy Argo. I need to watch Argo again. It's been a while.
Nice.
So yeah, that's my number 2. Do you have any other thoughts on it?
Just it's great. I mean, I had nothing else to add to it. It was good stuff.
My number 3 is Good Will Hunting.
Good.
What is there left to say? A lot of people have talked about it. I know Matt Damon gets a lot of the credit for his performance, Good Will Hunting. Robin Williams obviously gets a lot of the credit.
Oh, yeah.
That's fine. It's an amazing movie, and Affleck is a big part of it. So,
well, that great speech he gives at the end. You need to leave, dude.
And he's the most
us.
He's the most Boston he's ever been in a movie.
Oh, yeah.
As he is in Good Will Hunting, And there's just something about that authenticity, since they're both Boston kids, growing up there. So
how you like them apples?
I think Good Will Hunting is my number 3. So we already did our number 2s, because we already had Argo. So Andrew, I guess we'll go to your number 2.
Gone Girl. Gone Girl is number 2.
Gone Girl was in my
honorable mentions.
Honorable mentions. Yeah. So
because it was one of those. Also, again, I hadn't read the book, and I wanted to experience this, fresh. And I think that the movie really, every single person was cast to perfection. Even Tyler Perry, who I normally don't like, but he was one of the best parts about that entire movie.
Yeah,
Neil Patrick Harris was phenomenal, and what's the girl's? Diana, or what's her name? The main girl in
I don't remember,
but she killed it so good. And then it was one of those things, I just didn't know where the movie was going to go. And then when the reveal happened halfway through, I'm like, this movie's going to be something special.
Yeah.
Rosamund Pike.
Yes, thank you very much.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, she was absolutely phenomenal.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
No problem.
Yep.
Yeah, I think Gone Girl is worthy of the praise it gets. It's a hard movie to watch at times.
Yeah.
That Neil Patrick Harris scene is brutal.
Rough.
Like, really rough. But it's definitely a very well-told story and a very interesting plot to that movie as well. All right, so that brings us to our number 1s.
Yep.
And none of us have had our number 1s taken.
I don't think so.
So we're about to hear 3 different... Well, we could have the same number 1s, I suppose.
Yeah, that's true.
That is true as well. All right, Chris, we're going to start with you.
The Town.
Yep, number 1. My number 1.
Nice. That was in my honorable mentions. I have a different number 1.
Oh.
It's a great movie.
Yeah.
Is yours Geely?
It's Jersey Girl.
Is Jersey Girl or Daredevil? Yeah, or Pearl Harbor.
It's Daredevil.
Pearl Harbor.
I liked Pearl Harbor when it came out.
Oh, I hate that movie. Okay, but The Town. Go ahead.
I love any kind of heist movie, and it had
right there with you.
had that almost the Heat kind of feel to it. Jeremy Renner's awesome in it. Affleck's all the performances are good in it. I even like Blake Lively in it. Just a solid.
Do you not usually like Blake Lively?
I could take her or leave her. Just strong, solid performances out of the entire cast. It was tight. It was well done. Everything made sense. I loved it. Great movie.
I couldn't agree more.
It's my third favorite heist movie of all time. So.
What are the other two?
Number one is Heat, obviously. It has to be everybody's number one.
Ocean's 11, number 2.
No, Ocean's 11 is number 2.
Absolutely.
Ocean's 11 is so good.
Yep.
Yeah, it has to be.
But I think that John Hamm, like the struggle between John Hamm and Ben Affleck's character is like one of the great rivalries that is so underappreciated.
Yeah.
Did Affleck direct The Town as well?
Yes, he did.
I think he directed that as well. Man, he did. So good. And have you guys seen Gone Baby Gone?
Yes. That's his Casey Affleck, his brother, right?
Right. But he directed Gone Baby Gone.
Yeah.
And I think it was his directorial debut. And just phenomenal stuff. Yeah, he's a really decent director.
I'm really interested to hear what your number one is.
All right, I'm going to give you some clues.
Okay.
I'm going to give you some clues. Speaking of Ocean's 11, Scott Conn is also in this movie.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see. Who else could I tell you? Dominic Toretto, a.k.a. Vin Diesel.
Yeah.
Also in this movie. Ringing any bells yet?
Oh, wait.
Boiler Room.
I haven't seen Boiler Room.
Oh, that's some throwback.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Boiler Room is great.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
I would highly recommend you find a way to see Boiler Room. It is a phenomenal movie.
Can you give me a plot
it's
synopsis?
Stockbrokers, and I don't want to give too much away, but it's kind of like they're learning how to play the game of being, stockbrokers in that high-paced gambling kind of way.
Kind of like
they
a
have
Wolf of Wall Street sort of thing?
Kind of ish.
Okay.
A lot tamer than that.
Okay.
But yeah, that's the same idea. And
Boiler Room. Okay.
Boiler Room, yeah, is my number one. So I have a special place in my heart. It's one of those movies. Do you ever have a movie that catches you so completely off guard and so you love it even more? Mm-hmm. Like you just weren't expecting anything. You just popped it in. It was just like, I'm just going to pop it in and watch it. And then it just blows you away.
Lucky number 11. That was mine.
So yeah, Boiler Room is that for me. Okay. Where it's just like the movie just blew me away and I wasn't expecting anything. And so it has like that special place in my heart. So I would highly recommend it. What was honorable mentions? Andrew, did you have any?
Do you mind going around and I can just look up real quick?
I mentioned, let's see, Shakespeare in Love.
Nah.
Here's the thing about Shakespeare in Love. It takes a lot of flack because it should not have won Best Picture Oscar the year it came out.
No, it should totally have been Gangs of New York.
Saving Private Ryan.
Wait, Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I think it was Saving Private Ryan came out the same year. Totally should have been Saving Private Ryan. So it takes a lot of flack from that. It's actually a really good movie. It really is. But it's just, I think it takes a lot of flack for that.
Yeah.
So that was one of my honorable mentions. Chris, you have any?
I had 3.
Go ahead, name them. You'll probably take my others.
Hollywoodland.
Okay.
Where he plays George Reeves.
Where he plays, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Chasing Amy.
I have Chasing Amy in mine as well.
And then, dagdarn it, I forgot the third one, so I guess it wasn't that honorable.
Okay, so I know this movie doesn't hold up well, but I loved it so much at the time. Armageddon. I just had so much fun with that movie at the time.
My second least favorite movie of all time. Actually, number one is...
I can't blame you. I cannot defend it.
Number one is Pearl Harbor. So the two worst movies of all time for me are Ben Affleck movies. I
cannot argue.
My 2 honorable mentions are Smokin' Aces.
Okay.
It's just a fun movie. And then I think this movie is very underappreciated. The Sum of All Fears. The Tom Clancy movie.
That was my other honorable mention was The Sum of All Fears.
Morgan Freeman. But yeah. I think that it's been only within the last decade that Ben Affleck has come into his own as being a director and a performer. And I think that just moving forward, he's going to be one of the major players and forces to be reckoned with in Hollywood.
Oh, absolutely. He's on a streak. He hasn't made a bad movie yet. Yeah. So, I mean directing wise.
Yeah.
Yeah, he hasn't directed a bad movie yet.
Hopefully Batman,
Is that his next
Yep.
The
direction?
Batman.
He doesn't have anything other than that?
He's co-writing the script and he's
directing it. Yep.
Wow.
So hopefully he... I know he can be the best Batman. I know he can.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The story needs to be right for him.
Well, Jeff Johns is helping him write it, who's the chief creative officer of DC. So if the story's bad, we got other problems. We got a lot of problems.
Yeah.
Well, I hope he writes the ship because honestly, as much as I love Marvel movies, I've never seen it as a competition. I want all movies to be great. Why would I ever want a movie to be bad? I want to go see great movies. So I hope they write the ship and figure it out and get the ducks in a row for Justice League. Make it a good time. Make it a great thing because I don't want to have to go to any more bad DC movies.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Right there with you.
Not an enjoyable experience. All right, let's quickly talk about the one thing in pop culture, our buried treasure that we want to let people know about. I'll start first. Mine is I give you a million guesses, you'd never guess what I'm about to
IKEA.
IKEA it is.
Woo,
no,
I knew it.
Watching online poker. I have really gotten into some poker Twitch channels. And there was one recently where my favorite poker player is Daniel Negreanu.
Mine as well.
A lot of people's favorite poker player. He's so fun to watch. He's brilliant at what he does. He's made more money playing poker than anybody in the history of man. And he's an amazing guy. He was on somebody's, I think Jason Somerville's Twitch channel recently because he won the World Championship of Online Poker horse tournament, which is 5 different types of poker games: Hold'em, Omaha, Raz, Stud, and Stud 8 or better. And so they went through the entire final table. It's about a 2-hour video, maybe even a 3-hour video. And they just talked about each hand and they saw everybody's cards and, talked about strategy. It was the most fun and educational poker thing I've ever seen. So, just to hear those guys talk about those games.
Did it feel like World Series of Poker, like watching that, or did it have a really different tone to it?
Oh, it's totally different than watching World Series of Poker. And I'll tell you why. Because those are edited after the fact to really build up certain stories in certain moments. If you love poker, like as it's played, it's a much slower pace. It's a much, in my mind, more interesting game because you actually get to see the ins and the outs of how people bet, what they decide to do, what people accept as good starting hands, all that kind of stuff. And so I love it. I am a proponent of bringing live poker to television. I think there's a way to do it that could be really fun. Yeah. And you can still do the edited shows. Do them later, that kind of stuff. But, bring the actual event to television, just like you would a golf tournament. Golf tournaments are on TV. They're slow and boring to a lot of people. But if you know the game, you can see the fun in it. So
makes sense.
Yeah, that's my my buried treasure.
Nice. Chris, you're up.
Mine is actually a web comic called JL8. And it's about the Justice League as 8-year-olds.
Oh, wow.
In elementary school.
Sort of like Tiny Toons?
Kinda.
Is it like
Muppet Babies?
Is it like Muppet Babies? That's what I was going to say.
It's like Muppet Babies.
I'm all about it.
Muppet Babies.
They're taken away for you.
Nice.
And it's adorable. It revolves all around like the Batman, Superman, Green Lantern, Flash, Wonder Woman, Power Girl, and Martian Manhunter are all in school together.
So it's definitely not canon.
It's not canon. But it's just there's spots in it where the boys want to be taken seriously as superheroes, but they save a little old lady from getting her purse snatched, and she like pats him on the head and gives him a lollipop and stuff like that.
So it's kind of like the Avengers meet Sky High. Something like that.
Yeah, the Justice League meets Sky High. But yeah, I fell into it. I found it on StumbleUpon. And I read one and was like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. And then read another one and another one. And then 223 strips later, I read the whole friggin' thing.
That's amazing.
The guy's been doing it for like 5 years.
And it's online.
It's online. It's a Tumblr. It's JL and then the number 8 comic.tumblr.com.
There you go.
So
that sounds so cute.
Very entertaining.
Look at cute little Justice League. Look at him.
I fight for justice. I'm Batman.
What about you, Andrew?
So my parents are not all, there when it comes to being caught up on like what's happening in media and stuff. Like their big thing that they regret is not watching Game of Thrones because they're like, man, there's so many references that people keep talking about. Like, oh, did you see the Game of Thrones? And like, no, I didn't see it. So I promised them if a new show ever came on that was going to rival Game of Thrones as far as like what it does to the
pop culture.
The pop culture.
Yeah, consciousness.
And I told them I would let them know. And I just told them the other day, and they have started watching Westworld.
Oh, nice.
I think Westworld, it is, HBO has said it's going to be the replacement for Game of Thrones because next season of Game of Thrones is the last one. Mm-hmm. So they say we need a show that is up there critically fan-loved to the point of Game of Thrones that could pick up that slack. And I do think Jonathan Nolan, Christopher Nolan's brother, who has written all the Dark Knight movies, he wrote Inception, he wrote Interstellar. He is the showrunner for Westworld.
With J.J. Abrams,
With
right?
J.J. Abrams.
What a team.
Yeah.
And then you have actors like Ed Harris, Anthony Hopkins, James Marsden.
Marsden, by the way, who's one of the most underrated actors of our time. I really believe that.
Poor
I think
guy.
Marsden's a great actor.
He always loses the girl.
Yep.
Every movie.
Yeah, poor Cyclops. But I think from the pilot alone, I know the show is going to be something special.
Yeah, I agree. Chris, are you watching it?
Andrew has given me access to the ability to watch it. I probably should have said that a lot.
Hey,
but
that's what it's
Is
not
that
like
the
I'm
FBI I
stealing.
hear coming?
It's not like I'm stealing it. I'm paying for HBO.
That's a good
so
point.
yeah,
That's
I'm
a good
paying
point.
for it.
I don't have HBO at home, so I had not been able to watch it yet. But I'm very much looking forward to it.
I have to tell you, it is. We'll talk about it on an episode. We'll go a little bit further, and I don't want to spend a lot of time here at the end, like going into depth of why the show could be amazing.
Yeah.
But I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
So just for everybody out there who is on the fence about whether they should start watching the show or not, I cannot recommend the show enough. I do think that the show is going to be something special, and I do think it will be a very worthy successor to Game of Thrones whenever it ends.
In the feeling I get, man, I am going to talk about it just a little bit. The feeling I get is that it's going to be that same sort of expansive world that Game of Thrones was too. There's so many places this show is already going and characters it's introducing you to. I really think it'll nail kind of that feeling. And I mean, I love any sci-fi universe that sets its rules and lets you live in those rules and see how it works. And you didn't even mention Anthony Hopkins, I don't think.
I said he was in it. That
Oh,
was
did
about
you?
it.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
I
it's
said
just,
him, Ed Harris, and James Marsden.
yeah, pretty incredible stuff. So yeah, we'll talk about it some more. In fact, maybe next week we'll do a few television shows because there's several new ones that we want to get up on. So
Golf clap.
Yes. Just as a fair warning, it is an HBO show. So,
Oh, yes.
you know, all the content you would expect on Game of Thrones,
You would find here.
you would find here as well. So,
yeah.
but
Definitely not family friendly.
But some interesting, having said that, some really interesting morality issues and tales and choices and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So,
I think besides Sesame Street, HBO doesn't do anything that's family friendly. So,
HBO owns Sesame Street now.
oh, you didn't
Yeah.
know that?
Yeah, no, I knew that. I just
Oh.
forgotten that.
Yeah, HBO.
That's why Big Bird was on Game of Thrones last season. I was trying to figure that out.
It's an expanded universe.
Thanks so much for joining us today. Siftpop is part of the Shoe the Dough podcast network. You can find out more about other live and later shows on the network by following the feed at mixlr.com/shoe the dough. That's mixlr.com/shoe the dough. Huge thanks again to today's guru, Chris from Geek.0.
Yay me.
Chris, where can people find you? Where do you want to send people?
You can find us at our website, Geek.0.com, and you can also find us at all the social medias at Geek.0. That's GeekPoint, and then the number 0.
That was that radio voice you were talking about right there.
That's it. That's
The
it.
number 0.
Gets me every time.
I like it. If I had a sub in here, I'd just be vibrating the room.
Even if I didn't know you and Sean, I would recommend Geek.0 to everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you,
The
Andrew.
amount of stuff that you guys put up and how smart and just very well read it is.
Yeah, you guys are doing great stuff.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Appreciate
Geek.0
that.
does great stuff. Highly recommend it. Much love also to our Patreon supporters for giving monthly to make this show and others on the network possible. Support starts at $1 a month, comes with some pretty fun perks. You can find out more at patreon.com/shoethedough. Don't forget, you can also get your dedicated RSS feed there if you're a supporter, where everything will come right to your podcast player, including the bonus patron-only episodes. Also, if you know of a podcast or have a podcast idea you want to see on the network, make sure and let us know. All feedback is welcome at shoethedough@gmail.com. And we're